Chapter 2. I'm thinking I'm maybe 12 years old now, but it's hard to tell, 'cause time slips by out here in the streets. That would be about right, though, figuring I was about 8 when I was turned out an orphan into the storm of life, me being so happy with Mum taking care of Penny and me, and our Dad teaching us to read, him being a teacher what had come to London with Mum, who was a deacon's daughter from a poor church in the North Country, to take up a teaching post. But the post fell through and he had to fall back on letter writing for people what couldn't do it for themselves. It was enough to get along on till something better came along. But what came along was death, and nothing better. Maybe I'm 13. I don't know. I'm still so damned small. Because I was taught to read by me dad, I do the reading for the gang. It's me special trick, like, different from the begging and the thieving and the running from the coppers and the throwing of rocks and such, which all of us do. Doing the reading keeps me sharp in the practice of it, and by sounding out the words, I keeps picking up new ones. I don't always know what the meaning is, but I usually gets it worked out. When the printers on Fleet Street puts up the news sheets and broadsides on the walls outside their shops, we all goes over, and I climbs up on Hugh the Grand's shoulders, and I reads what's put up there. The people what gather about can't read for their own selves, and they likes it when I does it for them, and when Polly and Nancy and Judy scampers about with their hands out, well, sometimes the people puts in a penny. There's wanted posters too, for bold and daring highwaymen, and there's news of the brewing war with Napoleon, who's out kicking up trouble in the High Germanies, and everyone shakes their heads and say we'll be back in it soon. Charlie specially likes the broadsides, which are songs written out making fun of something or somebody or some big thing that happened. He quick learns the words by heart and then goes out on the street and sings them, capering about, and some people likes it, and again we girls pass the cups around and maybe we get a penny or two. And then we can get a meat pie to share, which is a great and rare and wonderful thing. There's cartoons what are put up too. Men and women drawn with big fat eggs for bodies and little sticks for arms and legs, and big awful faces with big lips and noses, and words come out of their mouths in bubbles and I read them too. Like, see this cove here is saying the Tory members are nothing but a bunch of baboons, and this here baboon over to the side is saying that he doesn't see the resemblance and his mum is much offended. But the words from the baboon is coming out of his bum instead of out of his mouth, and everyone gets a good laugh. And Hugh the Grand shakes with the laughing, even though I knows he ain't got no notion what's funny about it. For me, it's like getting a ride on a big old dumb horse when Hughie laughs. I says to Charlie a couple of times, "Charlie, how come we don't do the readings all the time? It's a good trick, and there's plenty of different print shops, and we always get some pennies when we does it. We could even set up in letter writing and make even more, and not have to do the begging. Why not, Charlie?" But Charlie just shakes his head and says, "Mary, we've got to have a lot of irons in the fire, not just one thing, 'cause if that one thing plays out, why, where would we be then?" I nods me head, but I ain't satisfied with the answer. "Please, Mum, please, Mum, please, Mum," says I, sticking out me hand. "I've been put to the begging on this corner today, and I'm working a lady and a little girl what has just come out of a bakery shop and have bags of sweet-smelling stuff. Please, Mum, please, Mum, please, Mum, please." The girl pipes up with, "Can't we give her a penny, Mother?" The girl is all dressed in white with ribbons and looks like she's been scrubbed pink. She's awfully dirty, and she looks cold. "No, dear," says the mother. "Your dear Uncle John gave you those pennies to buy yourself something special, and I don't want you to waste them." Evil old sow. "I'm going to give one to her anyhow," says the sainted girl firmly, and she pulls out a purse all covered in bright thread. She reaches in and pulls out a penny and plants it in me outstretched fist, careful not to touch any part of me grimy self. It's all I can do not to snatch the purse and run. Bless you, miss, says I. The lady grabs the girl's arm and starts on up the street. You are just throwing your pennies away. I'm sure her father is right round the corner waiting to take your penny to drink. I am very displeased with you. Something happens in me head, and I says, No, Mum, you've got it all wrong. I ain't got no dad or no mum neither, and come, dear, says the woman, nervous-like. I follows 'em down the street, and I know she's looking for a constable, but I just can't help it, and I clutches the penny in me fist as I runs after 'em, and I'm choking up, and the tears are starting out of me eyes and running down me chin, and I shouts, Me mum was just like you. She just died is all. It were her fault. She just died like me dad died and me sister died and Emily died and... I stops in the middle of the street and throws down the penny. It rings against the cobblestones and I lets out a howl and I hopes that a horse comes by and stomps on me head, 'cause I hates the begging and I'm scared of the stealing and I just want Jesus to come and put me out of me misery. But instead it's Charlie what comes and puts his arm around me and says, Come on now, Mary, it's all right. Hush now, hush. You just got to remember, it's please mum, over and over. You can't get personal, they don't like it. Hush now. But me mum was a lady, I blubbers all snotted up and teary. Charlie bends down and picks up the penny. I know, Mary, I know. I reckon you just wasn't cut out for the begging.